Welcome everyone to Matrixlord212 Live. I am live. Alright, so I'm trying to get used to this format because I'm used to StreamYard. It's a little messy, excuse me. Not used to doing this in the morning this early. Alright, so what's going on today? Well, let me just introduce myself to some of you who have no idea who I am. My name is Matrixlord212. I am a YouTuber. I've been a YouTuber since December 2011. Um, I have like 16,000 videos on this channel. I have like 5 channels. I am a PlayStation gamer. I am a trophy hunter. I love playing video games since I was a kid. And I took a break from that for a long time to raise my children. And then when they're adults and everything and they moved on, I'm back to gaming. And I decided I want to compete on the leaderboards on PSN profiles. I'm currently 5th in America, and I am like 46th in the world or something like that. I got over 10,000 platinums. And now, as of this moment, I have 10,055. Just went out this morning because Sharon wanted bagels. So I went and got bagels for us. Love those New York bagels, man. They're nice and huge, ridiculously big. Um, and I was just actually relaxing, eating breakfast, and watching Locale Live because I didn't get to watch the whole stream yesterday. Yesterday, when I was waking up from a nap, I saw that they talked about me in a segment, to which I really appreciate it. Thank you, Keemstar, and thank you, Boogie, and thank you, Wings, and everybody over there. But a lot of people had questions. They don't know who I was. Who's this bum? Who's this old guy? So, I mean, I can't help my age. I'm 51 years old. But I can tell you what I like and what I like to do. And, I am a fan of Keemstar. From me and Sharon always watch Drama Alert. I miss Drama Alert. I wish we saw more of it. Boogie 2988. I used to always watch. He was a gamer. That's what like got me to watching him is because he always talked about video games every now and then. So, and I used to love his funny skits that he used to do. I do stuff like that on my channel too. I have characters that I play. Joey Jupiter, Sky Havoc, Joe Gotts, to name a few. I do podcasts on my channel. This YouTube channel, I used to go on forums. I created this YouTube channel in 2007, I believe, but I didn't really do anything with it. I was just using it to watch people on YouTubers, fellow YouTubers. I wasn't even a YouTuber, just had a YouTube channel watching people. But I'm a published author also of 13 books now. Um, I was doing my books and then I was going on forums as Matrixlord212. I chose the name because, well, one, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. And they had the Matrix and Gallifrey and Doctor Who. I'm also a Transformers fan. There's been a Matrix in Transformers. I do like the Matrix movies, but I didn't choose the name because of the Matrix movies. I chose it mostly because of Doctor Who and because I love sci-fi in general. So I wanted to be the Matrix Lord of Sci-Fi, talking about that on forums. And I grew up watching. One of my first movies was Star Wars. I think I was 3 when it came out because I was born in '74. Uh, I was a Doctor Who fan since kindergarten. Um, exploring the TV because we had a different channel. We had the antenna with the tinfoil, and we had that channel on the bottom which we never used, and it was all hazy and black and white. I had a black and white TV. So I stumbled upon Doctor Who and fell in love with the show and been a Whovian ever since. A Whovian is a Doctor Who fan. But that's been my main thing is Doctor Who, and that got me into time travel, and that got me into Star Trek and everything else. And I think I grew as a fan of Star Wars mostly because of Doctor Who, even though I saw the first movie. I mean, I was really little when I saw that movie, but the first three movies I ever saw, I said was one of them was a Godzilla film, one of them was Star Wars, was the New Hope there, and Mary Poppins. So those were like the first three things I saw. But my dad got me to every type of thing. My dad was a DC comic book fan. He loved Superman and Batman and all that stuff. And I, as a kid, was a Marvel fan. Uh, that I did like Superman and Batman and stuff, but I was a Marvel fan. Like I would collect Spider-Man stuff. I wouldn't collect Superman stuff, but I would be a fan, that type of fan of it, just watching it, and occasionally getting comics here or there. But um, I was a huge comic book fan collector since 1987. Now it's on and off. I don't regularly collect, but I was doing my books. I was doing book signings. I got my books in Barnes and Nobles and other places. And my friends wanted me to just start doing YouTube videos about Doctor Who because they're like, "Oh, you would be great because you go on everybody else's forums and comment sections and their podcasts or whatever, and why not do your own?" And the moment I started, I can never shut up, and I got monetization with YouTube like within weeks, which is record time back then in 2011/2012. And now to this day, flash forward 2025, I have 16,000 videos on YouTube, my main channel, and then I have other channels. Um, Went back into gaming in 2018. Got myself PlayStation 4 for St. Patrick's Day, a gift to myself, and wasn't really trophy hunting, was just enjoying having fun with it. It was only and it took me a while to get, let's say, 105 platinums, right? But it was only, I guess, around the time of, I would say, around the pandemic or around that time area that I think I woke up, it was like January, and I'm like, I want to be number one gamer in America and then the world. And I just said, I want to start doing that. I want to trophy hunt. I want to be a big time gamer. I want to do whatever it could to start getting as many games as possible, as many platinums as possible, and just go with it. Why not in my spare time? you know. And what I would do is I would work, and then I was a workaholic. Uh, at one point in time, I had 5 jobs, and still had time for a girlfriend, Sharon, and still did my podcast, and still wrote my books, and had a little bit of gaming, and then the gaming sort of. I guess when the pandemic happened, I guess hello. I guess the gaming shifted, right? And the podcast started shifting less, and then things started getting weird around the pandemic time because I started. It was weird. I did a video as a joke, like the donut lesson, and or I was eating a donut, I think. No, I don't think I called it the donut lesson yet. I ate a donut, and I remember talking to my Doctor Who friends, on in the UK, and they're like, they had suggested that they don't have like Dunkin' Donuts there and stuff like that. If I could show people in the UK in Blackpool what it was like or what donuts we had in New York. So I'm like, okay. And then I remember thinking conscientiously, like, yeah, I really don't want to do this because I don't want it to become like a Food Network like type of thing, like where I'm reviewing food. And I wasn't really going to do it regularly. And what happened was I was going to work. I was on the train. I was doing a live stream on the train on my phone, and I was talking to that group, and they're like, "Oh, we want to see more of the donuts." I'm like, "Oh, well, I really don't want to do that. I mean, that's a lot of sugar. I mean, yes, my body at the time, my body had this weird thing where it required sugar constantly, was the opposite of diabetes at the time. But so I really didn't want to go overboard with the sugar. And they started throwing money on my live stream. And in the 15 minutes it took before I got to work, I made $500. And I'm like, oh, um, okay, you want to see me eat a donut? Well, I just made $500 in 15 minutes. Donuts were like what, $1 and change? All right, I'll do a series on that. And then it just got out of control where I started doing stuff I would never do. Is like food reviews. Like I reviewed donuts and pizza and snacks and chips and just all kinds of stuff. And I was making money eating. Like people had a foot fetish or they had their OnlyFans thing. Well, I was making money eating. People wanted to see me eat. And at the time I had my teeth, mind you. So yeah, okay, whatever pays. I mean, I had a full-time job, so you know, extra money. Okay, I can pay my electric bill. That's nice. $500 in 15 minutes. Okay, I can pay a little extra. Maybe I can buy extra stuff. Okay. I guess you go with what your audience dictates sometimes, right? So I'm like, why not? All right. But the problem with that is was used to being a podcaster. I'm the host of my own shows and thousands upon thousands of podcasts I did. So things started shifting weird. Like it was like the podcast went down, the food reviews went through the roof, and then when we were in lockdown, really, and they really didn't want us to go out, other than me being an essential worker, right? And I used to have a pass in the beginning just to go out to because hey, look, I'm an essential worker, work with the pharmacy. I'm in a business that had a pharmacy / retail. So I worked in both parts, right? As a manager in one and in the pharmacy another. Um, they wanted you to stay home after. If you didn't have to go out, don't go out because you're infecting everybody. You had masks and shit and everything. So I'm like, all right, well, if I'm gonna stay home, might as well do gaming a lot, right? If that's what majority of my spare time at home is that I'm forced to be home, okay. And this is what happened is like there was another shift. It was like the gaming, and the gaming and the food reviews were here and the podcasts were going down. And then I got a whole new audience from the gaming and from the food reviews. Crazy. And then at some point in time, it's just with my teeth degrading, uh, it made it harder and harder and harder to do the food reviews. And I had to start getting a lot of dental work. And I was doing root canals and they were putting in different things. And what happened was when I lost that main job, I lost the dental coverage. So now to pay for it all would be like $49,000, like just ripping everything out and putting implants in. It's and tried to get new coverage, and then I did, but it wasn't that great. So where we're at now is, my teeth eroded. It wasn't. I don't smoke. I don't drink. It wasn't that I didn't brush my teeth either. It was that at the time my body required a lot of sugar, and unfortunately, the sugar destroys the teeth. It had nothing to do. I could brush a million times a day. So, um, and then the last time I wanted to do stuff, when I got a new dentist, the health was bad where they couldn't even take the teeth out. Because I had a bad infection because of the teeth. So, taking all the antibiotics wrecked my stomach, and that caused problems too. So I have some health issues, but I don't really want to get into the health stuff. But I'm just trying to educate everybody about who I am. I do write books. I'm a published author. My last book I released the day before lockdown, and it was the first time ever that my books failed to where I lost a lot of money because if the bookstores are closed, you don't know I exist. You don't know I have a book there. So me releasing the book the last time, bad timing, unfortunately, really bad timing. Um, and this was the last book. This was Twists of Hate. Um, there's my name, and I have my back. I show my name, Matrixlord212. That's my name as well as my, that's as much as my name as my name. Joseph J. Capriccioso. So, yeah, the book didn't do well because nobody could get it, and I didn't have the money to. Amazon wanted $500 just to advertise it on their webpage, so the book failed because of the stupid pandemic and lockdown. Now my books, what I considered a success was if I made back my money and showed profit, then it was success to me. May not be a success to you, but every time that I made back my money and a profit, I would throw it into the next book. This was the first time that I didn't really show a profit and didn't do another book, even though I have like 6 manuscripts chilling. So I kind of just laid off doing another book for a while and just was doing my gaming. Now, of course, that encountered new problems because here it is. I made a big announcement on my channel that I wanted to be #1 in America and then the world. Now I read about by my kids, and my kids were laughing because they're like, "Dad, you'll never beat Akun," because at the time Akun was #1 in everything, and that kind of pushed me more to because my kids had doubts. I gotta be the dad that proved, I'm super dad and I can beat Akun and anybody. Why not? I'm Matrixlord212. Who are these people? So I'm like, oh no, I got to do that now. So, I started growing in the gaming community, and I would watch all the gamers on TV on my YouTube, and I was fans of them, these gamers, uh, but I wouldn't always set like a personal goal. Like as much as I was a fan, I'm like, oh, all right, this month I want to beat that gamer, like have more platinums than them, more trophies than them, whatever. This month I choose this gamer. This month, so what happened is I started passing all of them, majority of them, and kept going. and kept going. And of course, you have to understand there's people in the gaming community that for like so many years, this person's been number 20. This person's been number 17. That's what all that they've been is that spot. They haven't moved, right? Some didn't want to move up. They just stood where they were. So now I took their spot and I ruined their world. I crushed it by accident, not meaning to. And people gave me death threats and they were threatening me. How dare you? Who the are you to come in and take my spot, you son of a? And I started getting hatred. Like people genuinely hated my guts, genuinely. And I'm like, look, it's competition, man. I don't know. I don't know why you're getting all mad about it, whatever. So, um, but I always got hatred in the Whovian community because I was talking about Doctor Who before people were really talking about Doctor Who. Few people were. And then people coming along trying to be the main thing and getting jealous that I'm around and trying to silence me. So I had people trolling me forever for Doctor Who. And then now I had people attacking me and trolling me for gaming. So I wasn't winning here. As much as I wanted to be famous and do great in gaming, I had a lot of problems with people trolls just hating and hating and hating. So, I mean, that's where I'm at now. Recently, there was a group that had taken the name from Keemstar and made a channel. They called themselves the Destroyer, like the locale Destroyer, meaning they saw me as a locale and they wanted to destroy me. That was the whole point. And then that I got them taken down. They went through a lot of harassment. They created AI on me. So when Keemstar and the group were talking about me, I was not bashing them. I was bashing the people that were mimicking their name that were trolling me. So I've always been a fan of Keemstar with Drama Alert and Boogie2988. And I saw occasionally their stuff with the low-cow stuff, but never knew really what the hell that meant, like the low-cow, until afterwards. I got educated by the troll, which, they were from the UK, so they're going after Americans, and I was an American that loved Doctor Who, and they were Doctor Who fans, so they decided to dub me low-cow, or low-cow, whatever you call it, which, again, still didn't really understand the definition of it, but they took it too far, and I got them removed, and they're out of the picture, and that's good. But I just want to do my thing, and currently, making money on YouTube, starting to make money on TikTok, as my side stuff, and my gaming is bigger now than it was before. And I'm getting platinums faster. And I'm also spending a lot more on gaming and have a little more time. I don't have, and that's another thing too, though. People often look now at my platinums and they're like, you have no life. You have no girlfriend. You're a loser. You're this, you're that. And they don't understand that I don't game full time. I don't game 24 hours a day. It's all about time management. So in the past, I had to measure my time, right? So I knew that, like, say, at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30, I had to host my show, The Real Who Means Cast, right? Or The Everything Show, right? And I had my group, and I would have to do podcasts, 10:30, 10:30. Then with my job, I had to stay to 11, so I would get home 11:30. So it made things difficult. So I still would have to do my podcast then at 11:30 or 12 o'clock midnight. So I would do like a podcast or two, gaming, go to bed, work in the afternoon, right? Let's say from 2:30, 3 o'clock till 11, travel home and do it all over again. Host my podcasts, do my gaming. Then it shifted towards podcasts less and less and less, gaming more and more and more and more. And that's what happened. To where now I'm doing really well with the gaming, but I'm getting a lot more heat and a lot more people that are just, there's some people out there that don't understand the definition of gaming. They only think that the games they know are like God of War and Uncharted, and they don't understand that there's developers that are not big budget, which we call indie developers, right? So they're not aware that they're just thinking AAA or close to AAA, right? Or name brand stuff, like Pac-Man and stuff, right? They don't know that it's not. So in other words, it's like the equivalent of Coke and Pepsi, and then you got the other sodas, right? That's the point. There's a variety, right? You have Coke, you have Pepsi, you have Sprite, you have Dr. Pepper, you have Fanta, you have 7-Up, you have all these different types of drinks, A&W, Mug, like all these different types of drinks, right? So there's different types of gaming companies and developers. Just like there's Sony PlayStation, Nintendo Switch 2, right? And, Xbox, whatever the new one is, right? There's different types of gaming consoles, right? There's different types of soda. There's different types of gaming developers and companies. So, and there's different types of games. So people have mistakenly put the indie category as these other things that came afterwards. So in other words, when the pandemic started, developers are like, oh, cool. Now people have more time to play video games. Well, let's start flooding the market with games that are cheap so they could afford it because they're home now most of the time. So let's flood the PlayStation Store with games called shovelware. Right? So shovelware was games created, right, where you would use one button and you would beat the game in seconds or a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, right? That's what shovelware was. Okay. Anything where you had to have some effort in it, where if you didn't move, you would die, that's not shovelware. Shovelware is just one button and you win. No matter what, you win. You don't lose, right? But anything that has to have an effort into it, where you would die if you don't do anything, then that's not shovelware. And people got confused, and anytime they saw a game that wasn't a AAA big company like God of War, Sony, they would call everything shovelware. Now, Boogie2988 is a gamer, and he knows that yes, there's shovelware, like he said on Locale Live, and I got some of them, but there is no 10,000 shovelware games, which there isn't yet, right? So I don't have 10,000 shovelware. I have a lot of indie games. I have some, maybe a small percentage of AAAs, maybe a small percentage of ultra rare trophies. So again, that's also Keemstar didn't know what it was that I was doing. I was getting platinum trophies. Sony has a trophy-based system, Sony PlayStation, right? So in case you want a little education of Sony, Sony we know has movie companies, makes movies. They were famous back in the day from TVs. They made TVs and they made electronics, right? So Sony made TVs and electronics, and then they made, they had movies too, right? Um, they were hired by Nintendo to create a system that was like a CD, a cartridge. And then Nintendo dumped them and they're like, well, we're left with this product. We can't lose money on it. Let's just make our own video game system console. And that's how Sony PlayStation was born. And it's because of Nintendo that Sony's in existence. They kind of screwed themselves. So Sony became number one and even passed Nintendo, and now it's like Sony's number one and Xbox is like number two and Nintendo's number three, I guess. May change. But I loved that because growing up, I used to play everything, right? Atari 2600, Atari 200, Commodore 64. My friends had Intellivision. My friends had ColecoVision. My friends had Atari 7800. My friends had stuff that I didn't have. And then I adapted and I went to, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Nintendo Wii, Nintendo Wii U, Switch, and then the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, and then, it just goes on and on and on. I didn't have a Neo Geo because I couldn't afford Neo Geo. But we never had a damn trophy system, which would have been perfect if you had that from the very beginning. Would have changed the entire gaming market. So Sony started that when I sort of was like, I had my children and I wanted to focus on a dad. And I always adapted the philosophy from Uncle Ben in Amazing Spider-Man comic. With great power, there must also come great responsibility. So I took being a dad as the number one thing to me. So to me, it was irresponsible to have time to be a gamer and play video games. So I gave that up for like 20 some odd years. Now, I got the kids their systems, and I played with them, like if they were playing Street Fighter or whatever. Once in a while, I play games with them, but I was not considered a gamer anymore. I was not anything. And they started a trophy system with PlayStation 3. And when I played with the kids with different things, I got some trophies that not paying attention, not knowing that that started. Um, but I was sort of like to my kids did not know that I was a huge gamer in the past. You know, they didn't know the whole back history of me being ridiculously good at video games, me beating Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil, different things. They did not know that. So, um, when I went to hold a PlayStation 3 controller for the first time, I didn't know how to hold it. They were making fun of me. It's like Clark Kent, basically, right? I'm like, oh, I had the glasses and stuff and all clumsy and gooky. And meanwhile, like really like Superman. Not that I'm anything big. I'm just using that analogy, right? So I didn't even know how to hold the damn PlayStation 3 controller or even control it. And the kids kicked my ass. The kids kicked my ass with Call of Duty, all this stuff. I just did not. Was not, And I actually worked in the video game industry while I wasn't really a gamer, in EB Games, Electronic Boutique. And then GameStop took us over, and I was working for GameStop. So I was selling video games, and I was doing midnight releases for Halo 2 and Resident Evil 4 and all these different things. We were doing like, I don't know if Resident Evil 4 had it. I don't remember if had a release like that, but Halo 2 I did a midnight release for. But I had my own store. I was a store manager. I used to go to video game conferences every year in the summer. EB Games had sent me to Florida, and the last thing I went to with GameStop was Vegas. And I met Stan Lee in Florida under EB Games Company because he was promoting, I think, a Spider-Man game at the time. He did a voiceover for it and promoting all Marvel comic stuff for video games. So he was there to meet and greet, but I actually met him on my way back to the hotel room because back then there was like at night we were partying and we were like we were in each other's, like we were in these places and they were serving us food and drinks, and I'm sitting on leather couches and I'm playing Halo 2 before anybody else, or a Godzilla game or a Resident Evil 4, and I'm like loving it. And I just so happened to go back to my hotel room and I literally bumped into Stan Lee. Like we bumped shoulders and I'm like, and of course I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. That's like my favorite thing in the world is Spider-Man, right? Of superheroes. So he's like I was biggest Stan Lee fan. I was like, oh my God, I'm your biggest fan. He's like, as well you should be. And he's like, now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go eat. Nice meeting you. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, one of the highlights in my life, like just meeting my icon, legend, Stan Lee. And I remember telling the kids about it, and I was jumping, literally before Tom Cruise did it, I was jumping on my bed, happy, in my hotel room that I just unbelievably happy I met Stan Lee. I met some wrestlers there and some, female wrestlers there at the time, and had a great time. I loved working in jobs that I loved stuff from that job. Like that was like my hobby. So working in the toy industry, I always collected toys. Working in the video game industry, I was a gamer, you know? So I always wanted to do stuff that I love doing so I'd be good at it, really. And even working in the pen industry, I used to have a dog, used to have whatever. So getting involved with that. So I love doing jobs. The one thing that was different that I wasn't used to was after Hurricane Sandy, I was going into the medical field. Go figure. I was actually just going to be help out with their brand. their website, their name, their promotional stuff, because I got hired because of my books and marketing my books and my business, my brand. They hired me for that. I had that voice because, YouTuber and stuff, so it was like, constantly doing videos, constantly whatever. So they wanted to utilize that talent and promote their medical practice. And, I didn't have any medical certification at all. And they used to go off and do surgeries, and I wasn't really allowed because I wasn't medical personnel. Even though I worked for the company, I was just really media. And I just was bored. And I'm like, you know what? I'm getting paid, and if I'm getting paid, I want to do stuff and make money, not just make money off the doctor just sitting in the facility and just doing. So I wanted to teach myself. So I started teaching myself and talking to these corporations about medical billing. And I was looking at the books, and I'm like, oh, he wasn't paid for surgeries. And I learned to put them in. And it was that one day he called me in the office. He's like, what's this? And I'm like, what? He's like, I got money adding up to over $150,000. He's like, these are all surgeries I would never pay for. I'm like, yeah, I put them in. He's like, what? You put them in? Well, yeah, I taught myself, and I got. He's like, wait, you just got me paid for surgeries that they couldn't get me paid for? You taught yourself? You got me paid for all this? Yeah. Okay, congratulations, you're promoted. You're office manager now because you got me paid. Okay, and I'm going to pay for your schooling, and I'm going to even advance that even more. I'm going to, whatever you need to learn. You like this job, obviously. You got promoted, whatever you need. And we had great relationship, and was with them for a long time. And I was office manager for years. And I loved doing that. And then I loved learning different things. Like, I became a sterilization technician and other certifications I got thanks to Dr. Steve. So I did that instead of retail, and I loved it. But I loved my YouTube life, and I didn't want. That was the one thing that we had to agree upon before I took the job in the medical practice, because I was always about working, but I did not want. I valued my free time, and I did not want any job to invade on that. Because once I was home, I was home. Once I was off, I was off. I didn't want to be the one to take work home with me. So I valued my free time and my hobbies. And because I was a YouTuber and I was constantly using the doctor community and doing my podcast and doing my videos, this job could not interfere with that. So when I took the job, we had a long discussion, whatever I signed, and it was like, this could never interfere with that. There's a time and a place for me to be in medical practice, and a time and a place where I'm home. And if you need me to do stuff at home, okay, but I can't be away from my YouTube and me being a podcast host and all that stuff. So he understood that, and he actually really helped me because he embraced that. He was very grateful that I boosted his company, and he wanted to boost me. So when I had problems with the trolls, he was like, "Oh, we need lawyers. We'll pay for that. I'll do that. Whatever you need. We'll take these people out. I'm not gonna have anybody make you miserable. If you're miserable and people are trying to hurt you on your YouTube, let's go." So he was. This is why people made memes of me where I said lawyers on retainer, and I had the glasses on and everything. Um, I had a great boss, fantastic boss, like family to me, and I had a very great time. And from there, I got promoted. Besides being office manager, I became the Galaxy Mall manager, handling things here and there, working with the board of directors and doing different things. And I really, really loved that job too. And I really loved helping. And I loved people. And I was a people person, and I was a phone ninja, meaning I could talk and talk, and because I was a podcaster, right? I was a host. So I was very organized, and I had my group and had differences of opinion, and was able to have like so many people on the screen at once. Um, Tons of content on my YouTube channel. So I was very, very organized, and with my writing and everything, I have notebooks everywhere, very organized. So I took over the area. We were in a mall. I took over the mall, was the manager of the mall, was the manager of the medical practice. And I started because I also, with my books and everything, I'm a motivator, right? So I like to motivate and magnify people to their fullest potential. I'll often do this in life, is that I'll interfere. Maybe I shouldn't, right? But I sort of meddle, and I interfere and try to magnify the person and motivate the person and unlock that thing that they have in them that's got them in a rut, and sort of like get rid of that and just make them have awareness where now I lifted the weights that held them down. I gave them ideas to magnify themselves. And that's what I like to do. I like to be like a mentor or a manager or like a person that would magnify his people, his group, where they could be famous themselves and surpass me. And I always wanted to do that, even my own group. Um, and I did that in life. Whatever I do, if I'm in a podcast with people, I would want to help them to achieve their fullest potential, right? And I often do that. Now, sometimes people get mad at me for meddling, and I apologize because I shouldn't meddle. I just want what's best for each individual person. Some people were jealous of me on the YouTube scene. They created this thing like I have an ego and I'm a character. That person that he is, Matrixlord212, it's a character. It is a no character. Okay. Let me be clear, is that I'm not perfect. And because I'm not perfect, unfortunately, it looks like I'm a character and I'm playing a role. And I'm not, let me tell you. So I do get mad. And everybody knows when I get mad, I am like a damn beast. And if someone starts shit with me, they can't stand it when I respond because it's like a war like you wouldn't believe, and I'm out to destroy. It's like crazy. So there's that ugly side of me that comes out, and of course I get very creative too when that happens. And people loved that over the years. They were amused by it. They were like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing on this channel." I didn't like it, but when I got pissed, it was funny to see. I must admit. So people had their go with me every year, and it got to be a thing. Um, but anyway, I'm not a character. Okay, my name is Joseph J. Capriccioso. Okay, Italian name, hard for you to pronounce. I understand. Um, I am Matrixlord212. That is the name that I created. That is the name I want to be called. You want to call me Matrix? Beautiful. You want to call me Matrix Lord? Beautiful. You want to call me Matrixlord212? Fine. You don't have to. Okay. I'm happy with that. And I put the 212 next to the name Matrix Lord because that's my birthday, February 12th, 212. Just like Boogie 2988. I have a number at the end of my name, 212. Matrix Lord 212. That's who I am. That is basically as much my real name as my real name is. And I got the rights to it with my books and put it in there and cemented it where, just like KSI, that's his name. Even though he wasn't born with that name, that's his name. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, like, this is me, Matrix Lord 212. That's me. So, and again, I've always been a fan of Keemstar and Boogie 2988 and Logan Paul and Jake Paul and KSI. amongst others. And I've always watched them from coming home from work. If I wasn't podcasting, I would watch them, and it was great entertainment. And again, I consider myself a YouTuber, but they were like, I'm like here, and they were like here. You know what I'm saying? And I still think that way. I still, you know, I don't have an ego. I mean, I'm trying to become something in gaming, but like if if you would compare me to them, I'm like minor leagues. Make a little money on here, pays this bill, pays that bill. It's not like they got it where they probably could have they could just do that. I don't have that yet. One day I do envision having that, but you know what? I gotta say though, like you have to know that they're hard workers. Like Keemstar building his brand up like that, from Drama Alert to Locale to, was it Happy Punch? I think like he had went into different things, just like Logan Paul went into different things and created different companies, and Jake Paul created different companies. Plus, they were doing their boxing, and Logan's doing wrestling now, and you know, so everybody was branching off, creating different brands. Because again, too, at the end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, we're getting old. So it would be nice that once we get to that age where we can't really do crap, that companies are making money for us, and that's keeping us afloat, and we really have to do a little effort to make money that way. So I would hope to do the same thing. You know, right now I'm on this gaming kick. Do I want to do gaming forever? No, every time I'm not doing it, I would love to do screenplay one day and produce something or whatever, and we're getting involved with. I would love like to take the YouTube channel and be like, okay, I'm big with these other people I used to watch, or still watch, and do things with them. That would be great. You know, it was me and Sharon would watch Keemstar, and I would be like, oh, one day I just wish, you know, I got there too, where they would acknowledge me or mention me, and that happened. And I was just waking up, and somebody sent me a message on Twitter, on X. I keep calling it Twitter. And it was in the spam part, which of course you don't know. And it wasn't really spam. They sent me the link to Locale and live, and I'm like, why did they send me a thing on Locale live? Because I couldn't really see, right? 'Cause I'm blurry and everything, and the thing they sent me was immediately the clip. And I'm like looking like this, when I wake up, I have one eye open, right? So I'm like, wait, that's me. Are they talking about me? Me? Oh my God. I actually did it. Off the bucket list. Scratch. Keemstar mentioned me. Boogie mentioned me. My God. Scratch that off the bucket list. Okay. I had messaged them, but I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. I'm going to say this one more time. I'm a nobody. But as a nobody, I would message them when I would watch their stuff, or I would comment on their channel or whatever. And I remember I sent a message to Keemstar, and I don't know if it was his private inbox or whatever at the time before he got big and he didn't have that or whatever it was. And I would say this, I would say that. Same thing like Jake Paul, Logan Paul. And I said something like to Logan Paul. I sent him a message when he first did Prime, and I'm like, oh, well, I want to be the. I said to him, I don't know if he has it, probably doesn't anymore, but I says, oh, well, I want to be, when I'm number one in America as a gamer and then the world, I want to be a spokesperson for Prime. Like, and when Prime came out, I'm like, this is Prime, and I was drinking it. I liked it. I did. And I was a fan of them. So I don't know if you ever saw that. I'm not number one yet, so I'm still nobody. But I'm a nobody with 10,000 platinums now. There you go. But I remember saying that to um, Logan Paul. And then Jake Paul, they had a thing with the phone number or something. I don't know if I was really talking to him because it was a thing where he was engaging with the fans and uh, he gave out his phone number and something like that. And I said something to him. I called him like the Human Torch. I said, you would be before the Fantastic Movie 4 came out. I'm like, you would be great as an actor if you played the Human Torch because you're sort of like what Johnny Storm is. Like he got all these women and he was young and daring and doing all these stunts and I'm like, that's what Johnny Storm did. You should try to be in the Fantastic Four, your Human Torch. I don't know if I was really talking to Jake Paul or if it wasn't his people, but um there was that and then there was a thing with KSI and used to watch KSI and I remember he did a video where he's like, why am I called KSI? And he had doubts. And I'm like, oh, dude, I was trying to motivate because I'm always a motivator. I'm like, that's your name, man. You got to embrace, whatever you need to do, man. You need to take time away, whatever, man. You need to don't give up and don't give up. And I was trying to give encouragement. And I'm like, hey, you want to do my podcast, the Everything Show? But who the hell am I? They don't know who I am. They're so big. They were so big. Even though they weren't as big, they were big still. You're not going to answer me. Who am I? I'm a loser to them. Even Deji, I was like always like sending messages to Deji's comments or whatever. Hey man, you're great. I love your boxing. I love this. I know you can do really, really well. It's okay. You had this loss. You that loss. They got it somewhere, I'm sure. But if I ever did become big, which I don't know, who knows? But I reached out. I reached out to even Keemstar that time, and I was even saying, I'm like, yeah, it's weird with it. I sent him a message. I don't know if he still has it. I'm like, yeah, the one thing I noticed about the Jake Paul wedding is like the father wasn't there, so that's not a real wedding, right up the bat. I mean, but it is. It was staged. It was scripted. But I love Tana Mojo also, by the way. She's fantastic. Um, Still do. But I sent him a message about that. I'm like, well, if the father's not there, then it's not a real wedding. So, I sent a few different things, but I'm just a fan. I was just a fan of Keemstar and Boogie, and Boogie I sent messages to um, because he's a gamer, and I liked gaming, and that kind of brought me to his content. And then I played characters too, so that kind of brought me to his content too. That he was doing Francis and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I sent messages to Boogie too when he had doubts and stuff with his, and I'm trying to support as a fan, you know. I don't know if they remember that stuff. I don't even know if they even know that stuff. They don't know who I am, but they knew where I was yesterday, which was surprising. And thank you. Um, Even if nothing ever comes from it, uh, you fulfilled a bucket list because I got mentioned, and that's something I always wanted. And if nothing ever comes from it, still, it's one of the greatest memories just to be recognized for something, to accomplish something to warrant their attention. And I'm glad that I got that little moment. If anything comes from it, I don't know. I mean, I would like something to come from it. I would love to appear on their show. I don't know, the designation, what I would be called or what I mean, I know Matrixlord212. Would I be a locale? I don't know, but I mean, I do love their content. I love Keemstar and Boogie. I don't know too much of the other ones. I have to learn, like Wings. I'm not familiar with, but I did see him talking to Start about me, so um, I would love to get to know them and talk to them. But I would also, and this is a weird take on it. I sort of want to see more, because I am a motivator, right? So my whole thing is motivation, and maybe it's something they would want to talk about privately and not publicly because I don't want to embarrass them. But being a fan of them, if I had like a wish list as a fan, what I would want to see for them in the betterment of them, but not myself, I would want sort of like a Matrixlord212 Christmas list, right? I would want It's the weirdest thing ever, right? I would want Keemstar to bring back Drama Alert and take his rightful place on YouTube, right? Because he did it before any of them, right? Then you have all these Johnny come latelys afterwards trying to do the news or trying to do whatever, right? And you got TMZ and all that stuff. But there's a weird shift going on. I don't know if it's like Mandela effect. I don't know if it's like the timeline or something in the air. Past, since we had some crazy stuff and people coming out like nut jobs and different types of political things and weird stuff happening, and there's a shift with the broadcasting thing, right? And people that were famous are not famous, and people that are not famous should be famous. It's like Keemstar should be right now. Drama Alert anniversary's coming up, isn't it? December 19th. I could be wrong. I do apologize if I'm wrong. But Drama Alert should be like above TMZ. 100 zillion quadrillion %. Right? That's in my brain, in my universe. That Drama Alert, I would go in there and I'd be doing drama alerts today, tomorrow, every goddamn day. And I would build that shit up. Like, if I was Keem, I'm saying, like, I would build that shit up, like, and get people around me. This guy's just sitting next to me, leaning on this friggin' desk like the other guy in TMZ. And then you got people with the goddamn headphone on. Oh, this one just left their car. Their dress fell off or some stupid shit, right? And I would have a whole goddamn team. So it would be Drama Alert magnified. 1,000,000%. Love to see that shit. I miss that. I miss watching that shit. That shit was solid gold. Right? I loved it. I friggin' loved it. Just like I miss Boogie talking about games. Deep into gaming. Playing video games. Had his arcades. Had this. I was interested to me. I was watching it. I'm like, oh, he's a gamer like me. He likes these games like me. I related to Boogie with the gaming. And then the characters. He was funny. And then he stopped. And I'm like, why? And then he became sort of like the characters he portrayed, but full time. And I'm like, why? He should be multimillionaire still. And I'm like, I would want Boogie to be what he was. Like, I would want to see him like do stuff on his channel, like content, video game content. I looked up to all these people, and I put them all on pedestals. I'm like, they're all up there, and I know I'm down here. That's fine. It's fair. But this is where I saw them, And Boogie wouldn't need to do stuff like that with the putting peanut butter on him to be famous, because he was famous. He didn't need to do that. I guess he does it now. I don't know why, but he wouldn't need to. You identify what works with each person, their strengths and their weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses. Keemstar could do anything. Keemstar, look, they all branched out. Look at Logan Paul. Logan Paul's got Prime, right? I just dropped my Prime bottles. I have all damn Prime bottles right behind my friggin' laptop, right? Logan Paul's got Prime. Logan Paul's got lunch fleas, right? Keemstars could have Drama Alert, right? Local, Happy Punch. He could have all his different corporations. He could do all of it. Boogie too. I don't know why Boogie is not part of video game shows. Like, why isn't he presenting video game awards? Why isn't he doing a video game show, a podcast show, Why isn't he streaming the newest games? Like, why is he? Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe I fell off. But you identify what is strong and what makes them work, and then yes, you could take liberties and experiment and do different things. Maybe you're getting bored with that. You want to do something else. But he didn't have to be funny to be famous, Boogie. He just had the knowledge, and his knowledge was everything. His views were everything. Isn't that what kind of got Keemstar on the radar? Is that Keemstar was interested in Boogie's point of view? I don't know. I don't really know the thing, but I remember like he was always interested in his point of view, and then they got together. They did whatever they did, but like everybody is strong and they have a strength. And Keemstar, you need to see more of Keemstar. And Keemstar, I mean, again, you could tell me Matrixlord or Matrix, you don't know what the F you're talking about, right? And I'm sorry, Keemstar. I am a fan of you, so I'm talking like a fan. I'm just saying, I love your stuff, man. And I think that your fans, as a fan, want to see you up here, magnified the highest degree. And I think that would be awesome. I would love to see why. I don't know why Drama Alert's not back. I mean, right now, they could take over TMZ because TMZ now got controversy, right? TMZ? Drama Alert could be the number one effing thing, period. From YouTube to TikTok to Twitter to every damn social media platform. Drama Alert, today's the day. Like, get back on it. I'd be like, wow, holy crap. You imagine, I hope he's watching it, but if you imagine you just decided, the heck with it. I'm going to go in my damn studio. I'm going to do a video, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Do you realize how many views you would get? Think about it for a minute. Think about the way the culture is, right? Think about the way when we grew up. Now, I may be older than you, okay? But as fans, Hulk Hogan coming out. He was the champion. Then he was in wrestling a little bit. Then he came back. Oh my God! Remember that? Remember when the NWO came in and invaded and wrestling became interesting and all these different things, all these different gimmicks they did, right? Remember when we seen different things in the movies, like, oh my God, Harrison Ford's back in it as Indiana Jones or whatever. And maybe the movie wasn't that great or it was okay, whatever. But still, everybody has that nostalgia thing, right? Where they want to see the Ghostbusters return in a movie, like not just a cameo, right? Like just another Ghostbusters with the original Ghostbusters, right? Or whatever's left, right? You want to see nostalgia. You want to see your heroes. You want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger play Conan one more time, right? Or the Terminator one more time. You want to see Sylvester Stallone doing his thing, Rocky, even though it would probably be ridiculous. He appeared in Creed, okay. But thank you, Kay. It's the nostalgia, right? It's what people want. Like recently, right? In case you didn't know, I am a horror fan too, right? I'm a Jason Voorhees fan, right? Kind of been critical about the whole Jason Universe thing. Kind of been critical to them. I do apologize. Really pissed off about the damn Jason Voorhees returning after 13 years legal litigation to being in a beer commercial or like some type of movie that was 15 minutes with a stupid countdown that I'm like, that's a disgrace. This is a horror icon that could be in movies and movies and movies. Don't need fundraisers. Don't need anything. Millions of dollars. Somebody give it. Let's go. Right? I was pissed. I was like, this is not what you do for Jason Voorhees. It's a damn disgrace, right? Put out a movie, people will come, right? But it's the thing. It's in right now. It's the nostalgia. It's, oh my God, Keemstar's back on Drama Alert. Holy shitballs! People would go buck wild, right? And again, I hope you listen. And I'm not again. I'm not disrespecting you in any way, and I apologize because who the hell am I? And I understand you know what you're doing, so you don't need to listen to me. But because I don't want to interfere with egos and everything. Again, I know I'm low and you're high, and I'm just a fan, and I'm just saying I know how great you are, and I know I've been there where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wasn't motivated. Stuff happened to me, different things, and I've been there. And if anything, I would just hope that I lit a fire. I like to interfere. I like to meddle. So I don't know really the other people like Wings. I will try to educate myself with him and watch his stuff. I didn't know really he existed until I think a couple of times before they mentioned me. So I apologize, Wings, but I will get to know you. But yeah, if I know I keep going on about it, but if Keemstar brought Drum Lord back today, it would take YouTube by storm. But I would do stuff further. Like they was talking about not having content or stuff for locale, right? And I think somewhere along the lines, I think my phone charger tied up. I think somewhere along the lines, the things got confused with locale because maybe they wanted to become what they thought locale was, And I don't agree with the whole. I think they're famous on their own. That they wouldn't need to do stunts like that to become famous. Again, I saw that video where Boogie was talking to some guy and this other guy, and I'm like, well, this is why you don't really do podcasts with people you don't know. I go, these people trying to make money off you. Like you didn't need to talk to them, and I'm like, why don't you talk to these low people, like whatever. I mean, they're like, I would be low too, like just like, and they were talking stuff, and who the hell, what kind of disrespect to disrespect the great Bookie 2988 and just start talking shit? That guy should be ashamed of himself. But anyway, like, I think the problem is that there's too much, maybe there's a lot of fighting. I didn't know what all that stuff was about. I was trying to go on Boogie's thing. He was live streaming and he kept talking about that guy. He kept giving a lot of attention to that guy. And I'm watching it and I'm like, you're Boogie 2988. Who the F is that guy? We only know who that guy is because you're promoting him. Why are you promoting that guy? I want to see Boogie. I don't want to see that. And then there's infighting and fighting and fighting. I mean, I would like to see crazy stuff. Now, there was an interesting thing. When I was doing my YouTube videos, and again, I was trolled all the time, right? And people would write negative comments all the time. I did not realize that one comment, maybe if Keemstar's watching, he could find out for me, that was from Leafy is here. I read it. I think it was some type of insulting thing or something, and I deleted it and blocked and didn't even know who Leafy is here was. Apologize, Leafy is here. Apologize to this day. Became a fan afterwards, but didn't even know he existed, really. And then Keemstar started bringing him up too. I'm like, that's the guy that commented on my channel. I'm pretty sure it was. But yeah, it's just sometimes we get unmotivated and sometimes we get lost. But there are other times we figure it out. And I know Keemstar, I know he's trying to figure out what he wants to do, whatever, but I know what he should do. Boogie too. And I think they should have fun with Locale. Instead of fighting, find out what things make each other strong. And if you don't get along, then do stuff on there where you're not together. Right? I mean, isn't there a situation where KSI is running a boxing program and he doesn't like certain people? And he's sort of like enemies with them, or used to be friends with them and then enemies, but yet they're on the payroll and they're making them money, right? So keep what you're doing. You don't have to like it as long as it makes money for you. If you don't like this person, if you don't like that person, then you learn to work with them where they're making money and you're making money. You don't have to like them. They'll be employees, I guess, right? But also try to see where they're strong and where they're weak, and utilize that talent. But I sort of would want a show swap as like a fun gag. I would want to see, I don't know, Boogie 2988 on Drama Alert doing the news. Serious. Just seeing what the world would think. Just completely serious. Completely like into it. Like not trying to be Keemstar, trying to be himself, but just serious. Like just I'm not even talking Francis. I'm talking like just Drama Alert, Boogie. Just hosting. Or the members of Locale just invading like the NWO, like just Drama Alert. Just not even joking around, no skits, no talking dead ass serious. Like you're a goddamn like Men in Black agent or some shit. Like, or you're an agent from the Matrix. Like you're dead fucking serious, Boogie, on Drama Alert, doing news, doing shit that would piss people off. Maybe of the people we were covering. I don't know, but like just, I would love to see that shit. I might pay to see that. That would be great shit. And seeing Keemstar do stuff with boxing, maybe, and I don't know if he's doing. I haven't paid attention. I do apologize. I haven't paid attention to the boxing scene that much lately. I was kind of turned off. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan. Grew up a fan of Mike Tyson. Okay. And I am a fan of Jake Paul, so it was kind of conflicting seeing Jake Paul fight Mike Tyson. But I don't understand. Again, love Jake Paul. And I wanted Mike Tyson to win. But doesn't mean I love Jake Paul any less. I'm just rooting for a different person this time. But I don't understand why Mike Tyson lost, even at that age. But it happened. It happened. But after that, I was kind of like, took the wings out of my sails, so to speak, with boxing. And nothing was really going on with boxing now, except for now Mayweather and Mike Tyson, but I would have loved to see KSI versus Logan Paul 3. Never going to see that, I don't think. I would never want to see Jake Paul versus Logan Paul ever, because that would not be productive and that would not be good, and I would not like that. I would love to see Jake Paul versus KSI. That would probably bring me back into boxing. Or if Tommy Fury fought one of them, would be friggin' nice. I would really want Tommy Fury to fight both at different times. And I don't know, man. I would think that if you can get Tommy Fury, I would think that Jake Paul would get that somehow. I don't care. I would even go and pay that extra just to get him in there, because you want to beat him. You got to get that thing back that you could beat him. Jake Paul's got to have that in his head. He's got to beat Tommy Fury. That's got to be in his brain, like 24/7. I would think. But we need to have something that's going to get interest in boxing. And I'm not talking like little feuds with YouTubers. I mean, you could bring people into YouTube boxing or whatever that maybe are down on their luck, and you could create a success story. Like Keem could probably do that. Keem could probably look at people that fell off. Like he could do a crossover with that with low cal, but then I mean I think he did do that. Didn't Boogie have a boxing match that time? So like, get some YouTubers out there you couldn't stand, or maybe you did, and they down on their luck and they're almost living in a cardboard box. Get them and put them in a boxing ring and give them some money to eat and train and have them fight, and then maybe they can have a career at boxing. I don't know. I would like to see the Keemstar brand expand. Not everything we do is going to take off. Not saying it will. Like I like Prime, but I don't really, never really did the lunch leagues thing. I don't know. I mean, again, I love. I actually love Prime. I mean, I actually totaled. I don't know. There was one flavor I didn't like. Which was the one I didn't like? I don't like it, and that's why I can't remember. But anyway, look, it's a thing where you're getting older. We're getting older. You got to create new stuff or go in different directions. I mean, maybe Keemstar could be an actor in movies. I don't know what he wants to do, but he's famous in my eyes, no matter what. I'm biased when it comes to Keemstar. I think he'll always be, him and Boogie will always be. To me, it's a lot of people too. I think, But who am I? Again, back in the day, I'm Matrixlord212. You don't know who I am. It's fine. You can think I'm a bum. I'm this. But look at that ugly guy with his teeth. You don't know what he's talking about. Listen, man. Just trying to get by. Just trying to do my thing. Have fun with my friends. Do my podcast. Talk about Doctor Who. Talk about gaming. Talk about entertainment industry. If you watch me, fantastic. Fantastic thing. If you don't, you're missing out. Damn it. I was up all night getting damn platinums. And I can do characters too, Boogie, by the way. And you probably never heard of Sky Havoc or Joey Jupiter. Or the time I did a podcast with myself at 5 times. The 5 Matrix Lords. Check that out. But yeah, I can do characters too, and I can do voices too. Voice is kind of harsh now, but man, I got a lot of people with hatred on TikTok. I got a video that did 407,000 views for my gaming. People are like, Matrixlord, I don't like you. You get crappy platinums, but I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna go on my mighty keyboard and I'm going to ban you from the gaming spectrum, and you will no longer play PlayStation because I am Boo Boo 42 and I have a following, and I am on the leaderboards on PlayStation, and I shall ban you. I shall ban you. There's no way you should have those platinums. I don't like you. I don't like your face. You are ugly, missing teeth. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna ban you because I'm a keyboard warrior. I'm gonna stop you. And so I get on TikTok. Keyboard warriors giving negative reviews, food, restaurants, and they think, oh, see, that's what happened. The moment you started doing that crap and you started giving losers the feeling of they're important, that's when the world went to shit. This is my philosophy, by the way, but when you had a baseball game with kids and that stupid person, maybe it was a mom or something, I don't know, and she's like, oh, my kid was so upset. So upset. and she would have a latte with her. Like, yeah, just I know this is water, but just imagine this is a latte. Oh, I'm so upset that Timmy didn't win. He was so emotionally destroyed and upset. And I'm on the PTA. We need to stop that. You know what? I like Oprah, and I love when she gave cards out. You get a trophy, and you get a trophy, and you get a trophy just for playing the game. Let's do that in schools. Let's just give everybody a trophy. Let's just give everybody a pizza party. So that way, when you win and you lose, you can't tell the difference, which would kind of piss off the winner because then the loser would celebrate too, and we could put them on an even. No, do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't put them on the even playing field like that because what happens with that is you give the loser the sense of entitlement that they could lose and it's okay and they don't need to win. And then you give the winner the sense of why the fuck am I even bothering winning when this asshole that just fucking lost is getting celebrated in pizza. So you get a complex in both ways. So you ruin the whole fucking thing. The thing was, if you had a team that were in school and if they won and they got a trophy and if they lost, they would lose, they would be miserable. But the whole point of being miserable was they would be better next time to beat them next time because that would piss them off to learn. You learned a lesson to improve and get better, and you got so mad that you lost, you want to win next time. So that's the whole point of winning. You learn from your mistakes, but if you get a trophy, you don't learn. So that team don't get no trophy. That's why they would be better next time. And the winner would be happy at winning because if they won, they got this, this, and this. But if they're both getting that, then there's no purpose to compete because you're just going to get shit just showing up. And that's what happened in life is that people just showed up. People maybe not even fucking good and they would get rewarded. And you don't do that. You only get rewarded when you do good or when you improve. And I think this is what happened. So now this created this thing, even given the power of the internet, where people could fucking destroy a restaurant by fucking making a negative review. You gave them this superpower that they were unstoppable. And they made fun of it in movies too. Person's like, piss me off. I will ruin your 5-star rating. No, big mistake. You gave people power where everybody feels like everybody's got an ego now. Who the hell they are. And when that gets taken away, then they get all crazy, right? Because they go too far with that power and their voice, and they go too far and they go too loony skipperoony. I think that was Uncle Floyd. They go too far, too crazy, and they get banned, and then they keep doing it, and they get banned and banned and banned. How about don't get banned? How about voice your opinion where you're not doing the wrong thing to get banned, so people could see more of you and you can make more money instead of trying to be something. I don't know what you are, but I don't see purpose in that. I don't see why you need to do stuff to be banned or canceled. Is it attention seeking? We don't need to do that if you're good enough, right? You don't need to piss people off to get banned if you're good enough, so don't get banned. But I get people like that. I get people on TikTok. They're all haters. They're all mad, and they all want to make excuses for why I got all these trophies. They're like, he's a loser. That's it. He lives in his mom's basement. That's the only reason why. Not realizing growing up and retail, you learn time management. So you learn you need this amount of time to unload a truck. You need this amount of time to service the customer. You need this amount of time to greet the customer within 29 seconds. You need this amount of time to identify what the customer needs and sell it to them, with selling tie-ins or add-ons. You need this amount of time to clean the store, to clean the back, to throw out the trash. You need this amount of time to leave the store. You need this amount of time to go home. this amount of time to eat. It's all about time management. This is what I learned. So I put things in categories. This time to this time, I game. Then I eat. Or then I go out. And then I do this and I go pay the bills. Or I go see my friends. Or I just want to go and listen to the birds chirp and walk around and get exercise even. Time management. So because I'm good at time management, I'm not gaming 24/7. I'm really not. But I know, like, I have notebooks and I write down, all right, I'm going to play all these games and I'm going to beat all these games. And yes, I do work on the hard games. So if Boogie's watching, I got the platinum for Bloodborne. I got the platinum for Spider-Man. I got the platinum for Miles Morales Spider-Man. I got the platinum for Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, Warped. I got the platinums for Spyro 1, 2, and 3. You know, I got the platinum for Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Ms. Pac-Man. I do get AAA platinums. And I get indie platinums. And I get AA platinums and regular A platinums and indie platinums and shovelware also. So I get everything. And even ultra rare I try to get. So it's about time management. Now, if I was playing like they say I am on TikTok, then I probably would. In my brain, I'm behind. You may think you're crazy, which I may be, but I'm behind. And there'll be times where I do my gaming, I'm on my phone, and I'm just scrolling, and I'm just watching, like I used to. And I'm watching Impulsive, or I'm watching Locale Live, or I'm watching YouTubers, or I'm even watching TikTokers now, or Instagrammers, whatever you want to call them. And I'm just doing nothing for an hour, 2 hours, just Facebook, whatever. Now, I could be gaming. If I was gaming for those 2 hours, more platinums. Right? I go for walks. I like to walk a lot, which is probably why I have problems with my feet, but I like to walk. You know. And if I, want to be in the house 24/7, not that I am, but when I'm free and in my spare time with gaming, I want to walk too. I want to do things. I want to stay fit. I'm a lot thinner than I used to be, but it's all about time management. Time management's everything, And yes, thank you guys for thinking I got a lot of platinums and recognizing me and everything, but I think I should do more, and I think I should do better, and maybe I will do more and better. And be like, how is that possible? Well, I am doing lately more and better. I mean, they just did a video on me, and I had 10,000 platinums, and I'm at 10,055. What was their video yesterday? A lot, So, am I going to get a lot of platinums today? I don't know. It is 12:02 in the afternoon in Staten Island, New York. I don't know. I could be working on my 14th book. I'm writing that. The way I'm going about the books is sort of like the way Paramount Pictures saw Star Trek 5. Star Trek 5 bombed. And they didn't cancel Star Trek because they're like, well, that movie was bad, but it did make us a lot of money for a lot of decades. So let's do another one. Let's give it a chance. Let's take a risk. And then Star Trek 6 came out, Undiscovered Country, and it was beautiful, wonderful. And then they kept going. So there you go. So while this book failed because of the pandemic, that's the only thing I blame it. Beautiful cover, by the way. Really got screwed. Poor book. I stopped the books for a while because the moment I lost money, I'm like, hold on. Got to be responsible now because this cost me thousands of dollars to do. So Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Thanks. Even though I want to, and even though I got manuscripts done. Hey, what's up? So once I lost money and thought, oh my God, I'll be taking money out of my family, being selfish and doing another book, that's when that stopped. So, you know, I was so hurt because I was working on this for years. I was doing this book when I was running Vascular Epicenter in Jersey. And they did a article in the magazine, the High Rise Expression magazine, about Twists of Hate in 2019. And the funny thing that happened was, it wasn't funny to me, obviously, but there was like things going on, and money was, they needed money with my job with the mall, and sort of they didn't have money to pay for me anymore because they were trying to cut costs, and they're like, oh, let's just try to do it ourselves. Maybe we don't need a manager for a mall. So that got eliminated. And then the medical practice went because my boss had signed a contract with the hospital. And then in the fine print, they're like, well, you can't practice medicine within a 5-mile radius. So even though that was 5 miles from within 5 miles of the hospital, he was not allowed to do his thing in his medical practice. So he closed the medical practice. And then everything started falling apart because everything started ending. So I'm like, wow, from 5 jobs, I thought I was going to have one job left because everything was connected to that thing in Jersey. But then in Staten Island, I had Petland, but the owner died of Petland. They owned the whole corporation, and they decided his kids, which were adults, to do away with Petland discounts. So that closed, and that was the end of all jobs at a certain time. So I decided, well, how about just do one job and not 5 jobs? In Staten Island, no traveling into the city, into Jersey, just one job, just one. Can we do that? And I did. And I was like a shift supervisor in a retail slash medical. And I'm like, oh, this is the best of both worlds because I was all these different things in the medical field. So, you know what? The thing is, I didn't want to do medical after doing medical for 8 years. But and they kind of like looped me in, like, oh, you should really take this promotion, take this. You're doing this and doing that, and you get a little more on the pay. And I'm like, all right, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do, being that I went back to retail, and they did have medical. I wanted to just do being a manager again in retail, but I wanted to do both for almost 5 years. But of course, there you go. I have plenty of time. I mean, yeah, I worked like over 40 hours a week, sometimes 50 hours a week, sometimes whatever. But time management, you use your time and you're like, all right, I like to work in the afternoons, but when I got home, I ate and I was doing podcasts with my friend Scott. Like he's like my right hand man for my podcast, him and Chris. So I would do podcasts, the Everything Show, which we would cover movies, box office, comics, video games, all stuff in the entertainment industry, and the Real Hoovians cast, which was Doctor Who podcast. So that's what I would do. Or I would do other spin-off shows. And, you know, I was able to do my gaming and be a manager and do both that. And the thing was is that gamers started to adapt their gaming to what my shift was. So if I'm in competition, someone will be like, yes, yes, he's working 12 hours, guys. This is our opportunity. We could get so many platinums because Matrixlord's busy, and we can take over his spot, and we can pass him on the leaderboard. And like Mandark from Dexter's Laboratory. So yeah, I got that, and I would get home and I would get like a loser ranking or whatever, and then I started getting mad. I'm like, I'm gonna play more somehow. I'm gonna sleep an hour less or 2 hours, and I would be a nut, and I just became number 4. I was 4 at the time. 4th in America out of hundreds of millions and millions of gamers. I was 4. And in the world, I think I was 50. Or sometimes 49, 48. And then, you get these kids coming in. Not kids. I mean, to me, he's a kid, but he's probably in his 30s or 40s. I'm 51. So he passed me. And then it was like a thing where I was competing with him. And I'm like, oh my God, if you go to sleep, you're going to lose your ranking. And I'm like, well, I need to sleep. So I just lost it. So I'm been number 5 for a little while now, months. But I had other goals too, besides being in competition. I wanted to have tons of platinums, and that's what always drove me too. Is I want to have as many platinums as I can. I wanted to get Guinness Book of World Records like Akun and Ikameze and Dave. Dave's number 1 right now and everything. That's what his name is, Dave, on the World League for PSN profiles. And even True Trophies, he's number 1. So if you look him up, Dave is the number 1. I think he's got close to 16,000 platinums. So there is people better than me in gaming. I was lucky enough where they chose me, Keemstar and Boogie and Wings to talk about, which thank God. But there are people that better me. But the whole point is that I'm a nut. If you don't know who I am a nut when it comes to competition. I'm a nut when it comes to gaming. Like I always believed, like when I was a kid, in certain movie sayings and certain quotes. Like when Han Solo said, "Never tell me the odds." I have these people on TikTok. They're like, by my calculations, there's no way. Don't even tell me any of that stuff. I don't want to hear any of it. I don't believe any of it. Because they're like, you need to do 1 platinum a day or 2 platinums a day for the rest of your life. I don't want to hear that, because there are days where I get pissed off and I can get 50 platinums or 60. And then some days I could do 2. But once a week, there'll be one of those days that I just get ridiculous amounts of platinums, and it sort of evens out the week. So when I'm pissed off or motivated or whatever, and I want to get platinums, I get platinums like nobody's business, like I did yesterday. So that's what it is. But it's all about time management. Time management is everything in this world. If you become a master of that, of scheduling, of planning out, and again, you're talking about a guy talking about time management that's spontaneous also. Because I do love, oh, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Yes, no. Can't control it. Dodo's going to sneeze. No? Okay, then. Move on. You're talking about a guy who does spontaneous stuff with podcasting, which I'm always used to doing that. But it does fit into the overwhelming story of time management, because I would say I want to do a podcast today. So at some point in time, didn't matter when, I would revolve around doing everything else and then do that podcast. Or, today may be a day of a AAA, where instead of, I said, okay, yesterday I got 50 platinums or 40 or whatever it was. Today is just one focus, doing a AAA platinum. That could happen. Or maybe I could be lucky enough to do a podcast with Keemstar and Boogie and Wings and whoever. That would be nice, to give this bum a chance. But Mau Mau! What's up, Mau Mau? What's going on? I'm too much talking and not enough. I'm checking my messages now. Oh, get messages. I love S Mobile, by the way. I talk to them on Twitter. S Mobile is an indie game developer, and I love their games. They're great games. So hi, S Mobile, wherever you are. Is anybody on now with the low count? Are they doing anything? Are they doing low live streams? I'm too busy talking for an hour and 39 minutes. I'm sorry. Hopefully people watching me. I don't know if they're watching me in this face. Baywatch. What's that? Baywatch getting a reboot? Oh dear. Really? I don't know about that. Oh, did Jake Paul had the with Tank? Why does Tank look like he's 2 feet tall? I definitely want to see that boxing match. I'm just looking at the news now on my feeds, and Jimmy Kimmel's back. Figured that would happen. First of all, with that too, like, I don't know, I'm kind of conflicted. I don't want to get political on here, but I sort of like, on one hand, free speech absolutely. On the other hand, I don't like lying. So I'm kind of, I'm sort of the one that I understand jokes and I understand stuff, but when he was saying stuff, it wasn't a joke, but it wasn't the truth either. So, you know, kind of feel it was justified, but I don't know about, no, he's coming back now. So was that really a thing? Oh, what happened? No. Why? Hold on. Whoa, my God. What is this? Why does TikTok do that? It just controls your whole thing. And you can't shut it off? Like, what's that about? Oh, here we go again now. Somebody sent me this on TikTok. Really, dude? Really? I'm a shovelware person? This is why. This is why I need to get AAA Platinum and shove it up this person. That's right. Mother effer. Dare you tell me I'm a shovelware person? This person don't know crap. People, they're like, he's shovelware. He plays easy game. No, look at what I platinum. Generation's so lazy they can't even scroll up and scroll down and look through my 10,000 platinums. Yes, I did 10,000 platinums. Look through them all. What is it going to take? A minute? Come on. 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Come on. Probably spend more time taking a crap. You could scroll up and down and look at my platinums. Ridiculous. People talking smack. They don't even know what I got platinums. I'm like, oh, I got Bloodborne platinum. You did? Yeah. Did you look? No. And then like, show me. Show me, Matrixlord. Show me what you have. What do you mean? What do you mean? Take your finger and scroll up and scroll down and look at my platinums like Mr. Miyagi toward Danielson. Laxon! Laxa! Laxon! Laxa! Scroll up and scroll down. This generation, all you have to do, scroll up and down my list. That is even difficult in this day and age. And when that's difficult, you know society's crumbling, that people are so lazy that they can't hurt their finger for going up and down, looking through a trophy list of someone that's got 10,000 platinums. So that way they can actually know what they're talking about before they open their mouth and start talking smack where they don't know what they're talking about because they're not even looking at the trophy list. But that annoys me. So I would want to take a AAA and shove it up their candy, you know what. There you go. Ridiculous. How dare you? How dare you say that to me on TikTok? How dare you? Anybody else have anything to say? Other than, he's so ugly. His teeth are disgusting. I don't trust somebody like that. And then they, oh, of course, you don't brush, or oh, you don't do this, you don't do that. That's nonsense. I just dropped my damn pad. Oh, God. That pad's all over this house. This I wanted to do Capcom Stadium 2 for Ultra Rare Journey. Ultra Rare Journey. That was a list. Trying to do all these different types of videos. Trying to go for some Ultra Rares too. Besides, that's a special trophy that hardly anybody has. That's what that's called. Ultra Rare. So, anyway, I've been talking enough. I'm going to get off here because I'm probably boring you or annoying you, and I don't want to annoy anybody. Thank you again, Mau Mau. Hope I said that right. K-Rain, LJ, thank you guys. Thank you, Local Live. Thank you, Keemstar. Thank you, Boogie2988. Thank you, Wings, for talking about me. There you go. I hope I didn't bore you guys. Anyway, I will be back at some point in time today doing my gaming streams. I am probably going to get together with my group, the Real Hoovians, and we're probably going to do a Real Hoovians cast sometime this week and the Everything Show, because I know Chris has got a lot to talk about with some news concerning movies coming out and sequels and stuff like that too. We'll probably talk about the MCU and all that other things. So thank you guys for giving me your time. I hope you like what you hear and what I'm talking about. Take care. Bye for now.